Now, the political crisis in Rivers State has been raising more concerns, with the Ijaw National Congress, INC, urging President Bola Tinubu to address the escalating tensions. The INC has called on Tinubu to establish a committee to mediate the situation and restrain Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, whose actions they perceive as exacerbating the crisis. From another perspective, the INC's appeal highlights their apprehension about the broader implication of the crisis. The group views the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State and the suspension of key officials as a targeted provocation against the Ijaw people. It also alleges that Wike's involvement in the political turmoil is tied to his ambition to strengthen Tinubu's political standing ahead of future elections. Now, the INC's communique underscores their frustration with Wike's action, which they claim undermine ongoing efforts by Niger Delta leaders to resolve the crisis peacefully. Human rights activists and one of the Niger Delta stakeholders, Jake Epele, joins me now to speak on this. We're hoping to get someone from the Ijaw National Congress. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the demands by the Ijaws. The first on there was the reversal of the suspension for Governor, Deputy, and the House of Assembly. It's been 2 days since the memo became public. Do you think we should continue to expect a response from the federal government to this demand?
Of course, yes. They say when good men keep quiet, evil will thrive. I'm not just a human rights activist. I'm a bona fide member of the Ijaw National Congress, and as a matter of fact, I was the secretary of the communique drafting committee, and so I was expecting my president to have joined us, but Professor Benjamin, but looks like he's probably having some technical issues in terms of network, and I think there are a lot more issues that the president should have declared a state of emergency than Rivers State that was not in any way a trouble spot. And I've challenged the president and everyone involved in this process that if they are making claims, they should be able to release those claims. They are classified and unclassified information, and none of those things have been released. So I think it's also pertinent to mention that the current sole administrator, so to speak, is totally destroying the very little democratic process and position in Rivers State. And is also a slap on Rivers State that he had gone ahead to appoint his chief of staff, who is not from Rivers State. I'm not a tribalist. I'm not trying to whip up sentiment around that. But however, I think it's just an insult, adding insult to injury for him to have gone ahead.
Concerns and complaints about the decision that has been taken by the president. For all we know, this is going to sustain for the next 6 months. Are you expecting that the presidency might rescind their decision before the 6 months is over? Do you think that the pressure from the agitations and concerns and statements being released will have any impact at all on the president's decision, especially, like you said, when the sole administrator is already at work in Rivers State?
Well, I think so. I think so on the basis of the fact that truth, when you speak the truth, any leader with a listening ears will hear the truth and wants to be on the side of caution. Hopefully, this president will hear the truth that Rivers people are not happy with his decision. Rivers people have been taken advantage of. We've been suppressed. We feel the injustice that is done to us, the disrespect that have been, as a result of this.
All right.
It's
Let's
very
hold on to your
unfortunate.
optimism. Let's hold on to that optimism. But let's also look at the other demand by the INC. The ask is for the government to convene a committee of eminent Nigerians to resolve the political impasse in Rivers State. But the skepticism here is that this is not a new crisis. These elders have been around. What can they possibly do now that has not been previously considered? But then, one would argue that the state of emergency brings a new dimension and parties may be more receptive. How do you respond to these arguments?
Well, I can tell you for free that the elders of the community are brothers across board in the Ijaw ethnic group will continue to exert the pressure that we're exerting on the government. Because what, in my opinion, and today I was privileged to host the president of Nigerian Bar Association in my office, and the consensus is that what the president did was unconstitutional. Now, the Ijaw National Congress is not asking the president to set up. The National Assembly had asked the president to set up these eminent Nigerians who will begin to mediate. And so this is a call for implementation of what the National Assembly passed as an amendment to the proclamation.
Now, there's a part of my question that you haven't touched on. I'm really curious as to what your response would be. That this is not a new crisis, and then we keep asking. The House has asked the federal government. The Ijaws are asking the federal government to convene eminent Nigerians. Do you think there is something they can do differently now that has not been considered before? And considering, of course, that but in the scale of balance, the state of emergency might favor some people from some parties in the case and might not favor others. So what really would change between now and the next 6 months from that committee?
Let me take it on the heels of the last statement you made. The only people that will be favored by this illegal process is those who are stealing from us now. Literally taking the resources that belongs to the state into their pocket. There is no guarantee that the sole administrator and all the people that he's appointed will be honest enough to safeguard our resources, But what can the elders do that have not been done before? The elders have been calling for peace. The elders are ready to sit down and have a discussion. If only the parties concerned, especially Nyesom Wike, will come to the table to have a discussion. There is no time that is not useful to toe the line of peace. So I believe that these eminent Nigerians, when they are constituted and if they are neutral, will bring some form of a lasting peace to this issue. And I think also it's important to note here that it wouldn't just be Fubara and Wike. There are other parties that have been somehow in contention. We need to bring them to the table. We need to bring the likes of Rotimi Amechi. We need to bring the likes of Celestine Omehia. I mean, these are past leaders of the state that have led the likes of Odili. Everyone needs to come to the table and we discuss the issue from cause, because what we are seeing right now is the effect. For you to solve a problem, you need to go from cause to effect.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. And like many Nigerians, we're hopeful for a resolution to the crisis in Rivers State. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for my good friend Kayode and Shola.